Savitri, the woman who followed death. Savitri was the only daughter of King Ashwapati of Madra, a king who had prayed for years for a child. When she was finally born, people said she carried a quiet radiance, not loud beauty, but clarity, discipline, and a courage that didn't need to boast. As she grew, it became obvious she wouldn't be impressed by jewels or titles. She wanted a life rooted in dharma, in what is right and true. When the time came for marriage, her father gave her an unusual freedom. Choose for yourself. Savitri traveled, met many princes, and returned with a calm certainty. I have chosen Satyavan, she said. It startled the court. Satyavan was a prince, but not of a shining palace. His father, King Dumatsana, had lost his kingdom and even his eyesight, and lived in the forest in exile. Satyavan had grown up in hardship, yet he was known for something rare: truthfulness and quiet strength. He cared for his blind father, honored his mother, and lived with dignity without power. Savitri saw that, and her choice was firm. But a sage who was present, often told as Narada, grew serious when he heard the name. Satyavan is noble, the sage said, but fate has marked him. He will die 1 year from today. The king's heart sank. Savitri did not waver. I have chosen once, she said simply. I will not choose again. So she married Satyavan and went to the forest. No palace, no throne, just a simple hut, oil lamps at dusk, and a life of service. Savitri cared for Satyavan's parents with such steadiness that the hermitage felt held together by her presence. But she never forgot the prophecy. As the year passed, her mind stayed watchful, like a lamp protected from wind. And then the final day arrived. Before sunrise, Savitri bathed, prayed, and began a strict fast. She stood in silence for hours, as if gathering every thread of her strength into one point. When Satyavan lifted his axe to go cut wood, Savitri said, "Let me come with you." Satyavan hesitated. The forest path is rough. I will walk, she replied. So they went together, deeper into the trees. And there, without warning, Satyavan staggered. His face tightened with pain. His breath turned heavy. He sat down, trembling. Savitri, my head, he whispered. Savitri rushed to him and lifted his head into her lap. She held him, steadying him, feeling the exact moment the prophecy became real. The forest grew unnaturally still. No birds, no wind. Then a presence appeared, dark, immense, calm as a law of nature. In his hand was a noose, not like a cruel weapon, but like the symbol of the order no one escapes. His eyes were steady, not angry, simply absolute. Savitri watched, unmoving. Yama drew Satyavan's life from his body like a subtle shining thread and turned to leave. Most people would have collapsed. Savitri stood up, and she followed death. Yama looked back, surprised. "Turn away," he said. "This path is not for the living." Savitri replied softly, "Where my husband goes, I must go. This is my dharma." Yama tried to stop her with reasoning. He spoke of the boundary between life and death, of cosmic order, of endings that must come. But Savitri answered each time not with anger, not with pleading, with quiet wisdom. She spoke of what dharma means when everything is at stake. She spoke of love that is not mere attachment, but duty, steady, honest, fearless. And the more she spoke, the more Yama, Death himself, listened. At last Yama said, "Savitri, your devotion is rare. Ask for a boon, anything except your husband's life." Savitri bowed. "Let my father-in-law, Dyumatsena, regain his sight." "Granted," said Yama. He continued forward. Savitri continued to follow. Yama said again, "Ask another boon." Savitri said, "Let Dyumatsena regain his kingdom and let his line rise again." "Granted," said Yama. They walked on, Death and the living woman who refused to be shaken. Then Yama offered, "One more boon. Choose well." Savitri lowered her eyes as if choosing carefully and said, "Let me be blessed with 100 sons, with my husband, Satyavan." Yama said, almost automatically, "So be it." And then, silence, because Death realized what he had promised. How can Savitri have 100 sons with Satyavan if Satyavan is dead? Savitri had not tricked Yama with a lie. She had simply stood so firmly within dharma that the conclusion became unavoidable. Yama's stern expression softened. "Your words are true," he said. "Your devotion is pure. Your boon cannot be fulfilled unless Satyavan lives." And then he returned the life he had taken. "Go back," Yama said. "Take your husband." In that moment, the forest seemed to breathe again. Wind moved through the leaves. Birds returned. The world restarted. Savitri rushed back to Satyavan's body. His chest rose. His eyes opened, confused, like someone waking from a deep dream. "Savitri, what happened?" She held him and simply said, "You're back." Together they returned to the hermitage. And as dawn broke, Dyumatsena's eyes opened, his sight restored, exactly as Yama had promised. Soon news arrived that the path to reclaiming the kingdom had opened as well. Everything Savitri asked came true, but the story is remembered for something deeper than miracles. Savitri did not defeat death with weapons. She met death with steadiness and walked behind him with a truth so clear that even death had to make way. Some people run from death. Savitri followed death and returned with life